Welcome to Season 3 of Malevolent Autopsy. I'm your brost, Queen of Gains. I use she, her pronouns, and I am so psyched to be here with you all. Now let me warn my bros. This show contains major spoilers for everything in Malevolent as of the day this episode is published. So if you're not caught up, I'm not liable, bro. Before we get started tonight, I'd like to ask my lovely bro host, what part of Arthur's body are you betting on getting injured this week? And what part of Arthur's body is gonna get the most swole?
Right. Hi. Howdy, hello. This is Bro Control. I use he, him pronouns. And, well, my bet from last week might have been a draw. I don't know if Arthur's flexor digitorum brevis got injured per se, but I worry about Bro's chances of trench foot. This week I'm betting on Arthur's eyes getting injured. You know, John's eyes, the old wombo combo double whammy bro injury. As far as what's getting swole, well, it's probably not going to be his legs, because that guy, I don't think that guy's going anywhere.
So he skipped leg day?
Yeah, exactly.
Gotta get some reps in. At the old Iron Temple.
Shall we go over what Arthur and John went through this week?
Bro, what didn't they go through this week? Yeah, go ahead and give us our summary, bro.
Going the direction our bro, the rat catcher, pointed, Arthur and John ruminate on what our other bro, the manager, told them about who can or cannot be saved, or shouldn't. It doesn't take long for them to find more of the dark world's horrific natural wonders, a tunnel filled with spikes just waiting to skewer them. And, on the other side, we find yet another no man's land, complete with trenches and barbed wire and 20-foot-tall lantern-headed sentinels and hundreds of faces in the ground. And look who's here, our old bro Kellen. And he's not angry with Arthur, mostly because he's dead. He warns Arthur that he is coming for him. He will find him and put him in the ground. Before we can figure out who this new bro he is, their chit-chat is cut short, and oh look, Arthur's in the spotlight. Do we stay perfectly still, or do we run, bros?
Bro, absolutely killer chapter. Dude was climbing like fucking the rock climbing walls at the gym. Dude, he would have blasted that shit. Absolutely ripped if Arthur went to the gym.
I am actually impressed that he managed to get into that trench and out of that trench. And I was wondering, does that count as a fall into a hole?
Ooh.
Does that go into the fall counter? Because bro is getting mad gains from falling in holes.
Can you get gains from falling? I guess you can get gains if your heart says you can.
Yeah. I mean, that's endurance, man. It's like doing
building stamina.
It's like doing the Iron Man, you know? It's like doing a triathlon. Sometimes falling is part of it.
Every bro falls. It's about getting back up again, bro.
Kara in the chat says you gain something. Bruises maybe. Pain makes you stronger. Preach, brother. Preach.
Absolutely. So, before I lose absolutely everyone who thinks maybe they tuned into the wrong podcast.
We are not changing into an alpha male podcast. Just to clarify.
No. I am an alpha, but I'm not a male. I will say
I'm a male, but not an alpha.
There we go.
Alpha Topsy, Autumn says.
Alpha Topsy. Oh my god. Okay, so I will explain for everybody who might have missed it or wasn't in the Discord at the time that it went down, simple as sleeping. There was a user named Milk who has done art for Autopsy and is just a wonderful, fairly new, beloved member of the server who's just like this bright, shining light of joy that everybody loves.
Yes.
And Milk saw a poll for like sexiest character on Tumblr, and it was John versus somebody not from Malevolent. And
Helen
I'm not giving free advertising, so
okay,
I'm not even going to say who it is.
I'll keep my mouth shut. Sorry.
And so Milk put together like a very funny propaganda video featuring photoshopped, very muscular guys. And they were like typical male model stuff with like super crazy abs and biceps and stuff. And it was very funny because they were all tinged yellow and like they had the cartoony face on them. And from there, it just spiraled out of control of people saying John, was bro culture. And now it's everyone saying bro life instead of boy life, which is another meme from Spooky Stream.
And everybody changed their display names to have bro in them, and I
Yes.
cannot recognize half of the people in the Discord. I fully thought that Autumn was Proto because it was similar to one of Proto's display names.
That's so funny. Yeah, I mean, it's pretty crazy. And then people were changing their profile pictures to all be those sexy male model Johns.
Which is extra funny because Milk's John design is so darling, so charming, but really like simplified. And there's jokes that he's like Dorito John because he just kind of looks like a Dorito with just like expressive yellow eyes in like a shadowy face under a yellow cloak. And it's peak. It's really peak.
So like it's very so basically for everybody who doesn't know, this was based on a very in-joke in the Discord at this time, and it wouldn't normally have made it into Autopsy, except that during this crazy like outpouring of bro excitement, people were also rewriting some of the poems from
oh my god
from
so
Malevolent
good.
As like wording it to be like gym bro culture lingo instead. And Slate wrote Invictus with all of the words replaced with like funny gym bro slang. And I was like, oh my, people were donating to the Ko-Fi and just saying like funny things like about bros to Harlan's Ko-Fi. And I was like, we should all take parts of this poem and donate like the different stanzas of the poem and put that in our message. And so we did. And Harlan woke up and was like, that was so nice of you guys. And I'm going to let those people who did that, who chose to do that, be a bro collective.
Mm-hmm.
And they're all going to get to decide whether or not I drop to 65 early. And it's Friday right now, and the chapter released 2 hours ago because the Bro Collective did decide that we were going to get the chapter today instead of Monday. And Vol and I have not listened.
Yes,
but
we have remained pure to crystallize the Autopsy experience and the vote experience before we know what happens.
Yes. Do you think it would be appropriate to read the Bro poem?
Oh, absolutely. It would be a crime to mention it and then not post it, because if anyone's listening to this in the future, they're gonna have to like dig or beg someone to pull it back up.
I have to find it though.
Oh no, somebody Merrick's posted it in the chat.
Okay, great, awesome. I feel like you're better at reading poetry than I am.
Do you want me to read it?
I don't know. Maybe we should we take turns?
Yeah. I'll do a section and then you do a section.
Okay. Yeah. Why don't you do the first two and I'll do the last two?
Okay.
All right. Go for it.
So for posterity, here is Brovictus as written by Slate. Out of the sweat that covers me, stinky as my pits from pole to pole, I thank whatever gods may be for my unconquerable swole. From the rubber bands of resistance, I have not winced nor cried aloud. Into the big mirror I glance. My lats are massive. I'm so proud.
Beyond this place of bars and weights looms just the horrifyingly untrained. But in this gym here with my mates, my love for bros can't be contained. It matters not how much the weight, or how big we get, or even if we're swole. Bro life is our collective fate. Bro life's in our soul. Thank you so much, Slate. That's just
Beautiful.
like such an excellent rewrite.
True poetry. And
Oh,
I want to say that I think that part of the reason that this meme really caught on and sort of exploded is that Harlan's recently been having a tough time with some technical difficulties with Patreon, and I feel like you could kind of feel like he and Joe were kind of stressed, and so I think he needed a little like lighthearted fandom silliness.
yeah. And, it's always worth keeping in mind that even though Malevolent feels so grand and so big and it feels so well put together and well produced, it's still just one person doing it. And
He's
it's
just
his
a
full-time
guy.
job.
He's just a
And
guy.
like, he's got a family and very small personal life problems like you and me, and I feel like that can be really easy to forget because the podcast is so clean and it
Mm-hmm.
is so good and
Yeah.
well put together, and it's been going on for such a long time with such incredible consistency that it does feel like something that a large corporation could put out
It's
just
so
because
well
of the
produced.
yeah,
Yeah.
but it's still got just this one person behind it who does suffer like real financial loss when things happen to impact the success of the Patreon specifically,
And he
because
doesn't
that's
have like
kind
a
of what,
PR team. He doesn't have someone
yeah,
managing his like
right.
Patreon. He's doing it all himself. And I totally sympathize, and I cannot imagine how challenging that is on the scale that he's working now, you know?
Definitely. And I think there can be a lot of pressure put on you as a creator when you've made something that you enjoy into your revenue source.
Mhm.
And I think we are just really, really lucky that Harlan hasn't grown to resent it or get sick of it and put it down,
Yeah.
because I don't know that I could ever make anything I really, really love into my work. I'm just not
Yeah.
that kind of person.
But like you said, I mean, season 6, The Dark World, all bets are off. It's all Harlan. I think that he was really excited to get to this season and have that full creative control, and he gets to, I mean, he's always gotten to drive the story wherever he wants, but now I feel like you've mentioned before, he's like fully in control.
Yeah, definitely. And speaking of control, volume control,
That's me.
what was your carrot this week?
Oh man, easy. The fucking lantern heads, the searchlights. I saw some people calling them that, like capital S searchlights.
Oh, yeah.
Those were really cool, not just in design, but the fucking sound effects were so fucking metal. It was so
Oh,
rad. I like listening to some like distorted ambient and like stuff that some people would find kind of abrasive. Oh, what was the band? It'll come to me. Anyways, I enjoy some like abrasive electronic music, and I was getting those vibes. I don't know if they were meant to be footsteps or just these like distorted beats to the audio, but the whole Dark World ambience continues to be just so fucking metal and discordant.
yeah. I really liked how mechanical some of the sounds were. It's not like anything we've heard in Malevolent so far, diegetic or not. And it's been so cool to hear the different ambient sounds of the dark world and to really feel like we've gone somewhere that we weren't meant to go, is really how the sounds make
Yeah,
me feel. I loved
yeah,
it.
yeah. It's very unwelcoming.
Yes.
It's very hostile. It keeps you on your toes. I think earlier Mizra said that the sound effects and the ambience kick in their fight or flight response, and like absolutely.
Yeah, Nikki says the Dark World has been Harlan's baby twice as long as Malevolent, so I can only imagine how pumped he is to finally be exploring slash sharing it with people this directly. Yeah, how exciting.
Yeah, I feel like Dark World reveal is right up there with Kane's motivation reveal and the manager reveal.
Oh,
Like Harlan must be just like so ecstatic.
yeah, ecstatic, and I have to imagine nervous,
Sure.
because as much as you want to share the thing that you've been so excited to share, I know that personally I always get to be like, okay, this is like the stage butterflies of this has to go well and I want people to like it as much as I like it,
Yeah,
and it has to land just right. It's something that you've been thinking about so much that you know exactly how you want it to go, and so having it live up to those expectations I think can be really overwhelming. So
totally.
I think that I mean I hope that we're all reacting in the appropriate way, but I think it's great. I'm
Yeah,
very excited.
yeah.
What was your stick?
I feel like this. I feel like the stick is supposed to be something that's making you nervous going forward, but this week my stick is something that I only realized or I only noticed upon listening with headphones earlier today. I noticed that when Arthur mentions who else they might find in the dark world, Faro's lullaby starts playing. Hello?
The music box version even. Yeah, that
Emotional
was
damage.
interesting.
Jesus.
Well, how about the fact that Arthur says what they might find
Yeah.
and John says or who.
Yeah.
And in the middle of those two lines is when the music box version starts playing. It was just
Oh
the
my
way
god.
that they didn't even utter her name kills me.
Luna says you didn't notice that last time. The first time I listened to it, I didn't listen to it with headphones because I'm an animal. But today,
Well,
I
okay.
listened to it with
Full
headphones.
full disclosure, like I'm sure if Harlan ever hears any of this, it's going to be like, "Oh my god, you guys."
Yeah.
But Vol and I don't tend to be able to listen with both headphones in at the same time until at least our second or third re-listen. For me, because I live with somebody who I always need to be able to hear for their calling me, and so like for safety reasons. So for me, I'm always have one headphone kind of offset on my ear, so I kind of get some of the sounds. I don't usually tend to miss 99% of things because I can still kind of understand what's going on, but there have been a handful of occasions in Malevolent where when he does panning, usually it's not completely in one ear, and so I'll kind of get a very vague notion of what happened in the other ear, but there are some sounds that are fully just unable to be heard out of one headphone that me and Vol both have missed before.
Yeah, I don't have an excuse. It fully is, are my headphones within arm's reach of my desk or not?
I just know that he put so much work into like doing the sound and the kind of movement of sound,
Yeah.
and I genuinely do appreciate it and I enjoy it and I do listen with both headphones on eventually. Just
Yes.
not usually my first listen.
Yes. So, Queen, what was your carrot this week?
So I keep cheating because I can't settle on just one thing. What happens is I'll pick a carrot and then I'll feel like that's not really a carrot, so I have to pick more. Same with the stick, but my instinctive carrot was I don't want to know. That I love when Arthur cuts the shit and is like, just don't fucking tell me, John. Like, I don't, because that's the shit that I would be saying every time John opened his mouth at this point. Just like, don't tell me, dude. I don't need to know. We don't have a choice. I can't handle this.
Do not describe the indescribable horrors, please.
Yeah.
Please.
He's like water and blood and Arthur cuts him off exactly where I would cut him off. And it's like neither do I, dude. He heard me say ew last week as my stick. And like I feel like that was a straight up this is for you, Queen. We won't bother describing what else is in that water just for you. My mini carrot was the past echoes that we heard when they're talking about all these voices and like John's talking about how they're like, you know,
I have it. I have it written down. Unwritten missives, disregarded orders, and unfulfilled dreams.
yes,
Sick.
those. So they were so familiar. I know they're just probably a collection of like different moments from Malevolent, and I really want to like go through and see if I can pick out what's from where because I think that's fun. But I distinctly heard some of Arthur's more higher pitched hysterical sobbing, and it was just heartbreaking and haunting in the best way, in the way that I like Malevolent's horror.
Yeah. I really wanted to pick apart the voices too. I'm really curious if they are specific references or like what some of them are saying because it's really unintelligible the way that they're layered over each other.
Yeah, definitely. Kara says also the way he mentioned the huge monsters last out of everything in that field was frustrating, though. I think Arthur was too much in survival mode to get mad at him for it, but I would have. And you know what? That's not even something I thought about, but yeah.
You mentioned the fucking 20-foot tall lantern head crustaceans last, John. What the fuck?
Yeah, definitely. Pan also says, this episode is crazy because it puts into perspective how many more faces we could have seen in the dark world if we messed up at certain points. Example, Daniel in the hospital. I didn't think about it until we saw Kellen.
Yeah. Speaking of, Queen, what was your stick this week?
So again, I have a stick and then I have a twig. I'm going to say my twig,
stick and a twig.
My instinctive twig was walking on faces. Are you fucking kidding me?
I know. I know.
The immediate visceral chill down my spine and squirming in my chair because the texture of that is so upsetting to me.
Don't think about it. Don't think about it. You're the one who doesn't like feet. Don't think about it.
Oh my God.
I don't want to think about it. I wasn't thinking about it until you said something.
It's just so gross. You know what? It really wouldn't have bothered me as much if Arthur hadn't reacted to it. But Arthur's freak out made it so much worse for me. I sympathetically felt it. And I was like, ew, oh God. And John's like, we can't avoid it. I'm like, shut up. You didn't need to say that. We could have inferred that. Or I could have pretended the way I'm pretending that Arthur is fully dressed right now. I could have pretended that we were avoiding them.
Yeah.
But and then okay, the one thing that I am grateful for, maybe like a micro carrot, is that Harlan didn't give me any of the sounds that would be associated with walking on faces.
Yeah, he was a little merciful. That was also specifically for you. He thought he started soundscaping feet on faces, and he was like, you know what? Oh. Queen's a good cookie. I should not do that for her.
My more serious,
your actual stick.
My actual stick.
Hit me with your actual stick.
My actual stick was Kellen's lack of distress. His lack of fight and freak out was really jarring in a terrible way for me, because I was like, why is he not freaked out that he's sinking further and further down? Yeah. Why is he not freaked out where he is and what he's doing and where he's at? He's just it's almost like he was chilling, expecting all of that to happen.
Right.
And I mean, I guess it's just so unsettling to have somebody talk to you in this horrible, awful hellscape and have them act like this is normal.
Right.
And he was just reflecting, I could go on and on about Kellen's dialogue and his lines here, and the parallels be paralleling.
Yeah.
But more than what he said was how he said it. And I know part of that is because Kellen is supposed to be inflicted with madness, but even somebody in that state of mind, physically being pulled underground, should have a more desperate reaction or a more frightened and startled reaction, and he didn't, and it was really unsettling to me. So I'm terrified about what we're going to find later.
I think that this is a perfect example of, as Moss says in the chat, the sorrow of the dark world corruption. This is exactly the kind of scooped out shell of a person left by the dark world. And Moss also mentions if John and Arthur had lit the lighter, maybe he would have freaked out more, perhaps, because he would have come to himself a little bit more and realized what was happening. It's an interesting thought. Yeah, we didn't even get a chance to do that.
Ignorance might be bliss in the dark world. Do you want to wake somebody up?
Right. It's kind of like how being dead is the safest option in the dark world.
Right. Well, how confident is Arthur that it's a good thing to kind of bring these people back to their right minds when he doesn't even know how he's going to leave, if he can leave?
Yeah, and what happens when you leave? I really thought it was interesting, from a narrative perspective, what the author is telling us, the audience, to pay attention to, is that earlier in the episode, John and Arthur ruminate about what the manager said about who is worth saving and whether they can be saved and all of that.
I loved Arthur repeating the manager's words to himself like a mantra
Yeah.
so that he didn't forget them. First of all, I know there's a lot of fan theories about that having been something that John did to remember Arthur and to remember poetry and things
Right.
like that, which I think
Right.
is beautiful as a
Yeah.
concept. But I also think it's a very realistic thing for Arthur to be doing, and it's what the patrons are doing right now is they're trying to vote.
Yeah, Autumn in the chat says, I think it might almost be a relief for him, for Kellen. He's been plagued by things only he can see his whole life. At least now he knows what he is feeling is real. Everyone is mad in the dark world. Yeah. Yeah, Kellen fits right in the
Yes,
dark world.
for sure. I think that a lot of Kellen's words didn't really sink in until the second time I listened because I loved the exchange that he and Arthur had. I think it gave a lot of peace and closure to all of Kellen's character and the
Yeah,
relationship he had with Arthur. And I loved being able to explore that even long after we thought we'd never see Kellen again. I think that shows us what's going to be possible in the dark world and how
absolutely. And
exciting that
we've,
is.
yeah, we've been wondering what people we know we were going to run into in the dark world. And I know there are like a handful of hardcore Kellen stans who were just waiting for this, and I'm really happy for them. The first recognizable face and voice that we hear is Kellen's. I think that's really really cool, and it, yeah, like you said, it makes me really excited for who else we could potentially run into.
I also appreciate, maybe a hot take, I appreciate that John did not describe Kellen's face
Yeah.
because he was wearing a mask the whole time we knew him, and that's how Arthur knew him. John just mentions that he's not wearing his mask anymore, but he doesn't bother describing any of his features. And I actually like that, first of all, because Kellen had a problem, and his solution to that problem was to, I mean, something that probably brought him comfort was to be wearing that mask. And I feel like it's very nice to respect that decision to conceal his face. But what I think was probably more intentional, I just appreciate it when we're not given a lot of physical detail about characters because it gives everybody so much more room to play and to figure out what that looks like for them. And I really like it when characters are not like heavily physically described because frankly, I struggle to visualize characters. And so to me, it never really matters exactly what they look like. And I'm going to enjoy everybody's interpretation.
Yeah. Nikki in the chat says, I also think that Arthur approaching and talking to Kellen was like Kellen getting chosen by him again, plus the opportunity for a closure discussion. So I think the overall exchange, he's more at peace with himself and his situation, thus the sinking. That's an interesting thought. But I completely agree. I think that that is really interesting, that it is like Arthur choosing Kellen again.
Can I just want to say something that I said in the chat earlier when we were all listening to the episode again, because I haven't, now, not that I've been heavy in discussion about the chapter overall this week, but haven't seen a ton of people talk about this specific aspect, and it really hit my heart. Kellen says, all my life, I wanted to matter. I wanted to be special. I wanted what she had so much, I tried to take it. I wanted her gift to come to me, but it didn't, and I killed her. And that immediately made me think of Arthur and his story about his friend, I think it was William, and the Boys Brigade and the wooden train and that
Yeah.
whole section, and how it totally parallels Arthur and his struggle and the resentment and the jealousy and wanting something somebody else has so bad that you hurt them and destroy things in your feelings about it. And I think it's a very human expression, and it's very relatable, and it's very painful, especially between the two of them in the dark world after everything's over.
Yeah. Yeah. It's really, it's foils all the way down. It's Arthur seeing different facets of himself in other people.
Yeah. Vol, I
Yes.
know you did some research about what I affectionately have been calling snowman's land.
I'm so glad you said it. I was gonna bring it up if you didn't.
Multiple times in this chapter, I heard John say snowman's land, and I don't know why, but I think it might be the little tiny part of me that is still back in 2013 watching Frozen
Oh my god.
on loop. So That's my embarrassing fact for autopsy.
Yeah, well, the vote this week was very one sided from the very start, and it didn't move. So we are not going to have much to talk about for the vote, but I'm fascinated with the concept of no man's land. I actually do know about it because of one of these fun facts that I gathered. So I wanted to talk a little bit more about, or I wanted to share some fun facts about. I mean, fun facts, yeah. No Man's Land, totally fun. I wanted to share some interesting historical, real-world facts about the term and the definition of a no man's land. So the term was first used in the year 1086 in a book called the Domesday Book to describe the land outside of London's city walls. Later, it was used to describe specifically the area north of London's walls assigned for executions. During World War I, it described the land between opposing enemies' trench lines. It was cratered from exploded shells, riddled with barbed wire, landmines, and sometimes contaminated by chemical warfare. Not to mention the dead and dying who got stuck there. And so that's definitely the definition of this dark world no man's land. But the term no man's land was actually popularized by the Christmas Truce of 1914. If anyone else knows about
that story.
Well, there was also a Christmas truce in World War II, I believe, and that's the one where they played soccer. I think this first one they didn't, or football. I think this first one was the first time it had happened. And if you haven't heard about it, it's when the British, French, and German soldiers crossed no man's land on Christmas Eve and Christmas Day to exchange season's greetings, mingle, and exchange food and souvenirs, and there was even some caroling. And the idea of the no man's land persists today, despite it no longer being a thing on the battlefield, because in a post-mechanized age of warfare where there are tanks and planes, the no man's land and like trench warfare isn't really a thing anymore. But in places like Verdun, France, there is a spot still left called the Zone Rouge. It's so contaminated from chemical warfare and riddled with unexploded mines that it has been sealed off from anyone being able to get to it by an enormous forest of black pines that they planted to keep it like locked down like a living sarcophagus.
Ooh.
Yeah. They actually compare it to how Chernobyl has had to be sealed off in concrete. It's like that contaminated. Yeah, it's crazy.
Man, the effects of war on Earth are just, yeah, that's a lot. I appreciate that kind of research because I'm not sure if, I don't think anyone wants to definitively say like, oh, that's why he did this, but I think those kinds of facts that you couldn't find unless you went and explored and found them. I love being able to draw stuff back and to learn more about like little nods and mentions here and there, because I had actually never heard the origins of like no man's land, although I've heard that phrase throughout my life. You would think that like somebody eventually would have said something, but no.
Yeah, I mean, I definitely didn't know it was used so far before World War One. I thought it was specifically about trench warfare and the space between enemy lines. But yeah, throughout history, it's been used to describe places that don't necessarily fall under the power of the church or other fiefdoms or kingdoms, places like that.
Wow. Well, thank you. I mean, I know it's not the funnest of facts, but I think we all are nerds and enjoy learning and stuff. Yeah. So thank you for bringing that.
Yeah. I'm a big history buff from around the time that Malevolent is set, the sort of 1920s through the 1950s. And so, I love researching shit like that.
Yeah, I'm far more into the fashion and styles of that era,
Yes.
which is why I am gone into a deep and dark depression now that Arthur is not wearing clothes, because what else is there?
He's gonna get a cool fucked up Tim Burton Dark World 3-piece suit. Okay, that's what's gonna happen.
That would be nice. Harlan, please. Wouldn't that be so cool, Harlan? Please. Okay, shall we do some submissions?
Do you want to talk about the poll numbers, or it doesn't matter because they're
Well,
so
I don't know.
one-sided?
Okay, here's the thing. I go in the order that the notes on our document are in, and you put voice subs before the poll numbers, so I don't know. That's what I was going off of.
Fair enough. Fair enough.
I mean, I guess we should at least mention what the poll actually is before we have people talk about
Yeah,
it.
let's do what the poll is and what the poll numbers ended at, which I have included the graphic in the notes.
Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
So, our poll for this week is stay still versus run. And for once, yes, that does align with what everyone expected the vote to be, thank God. That is 401 votes total when we took the count, which was at 10:30 this morning for Ajax, who did the final screen grab of the graphic. Thank you, Ajax. So that was 87% for stay still versus 13% for run, which was 347 votes versus 54 votes. So you can see we had a very easy one-sided poll, which is the bane of my existence. But
Yeah.
3 out of 4 votes having been like hotly contested and super debated has been I'm happy about it. I'm not complaining.
But this also really surprised me, and like it has been this ratio of votes since day one, since before the poll even dropped.
Yeah, there wasn't a moment that we left like the 80s.
Yeah.
I think everyone has been pretty unanimously in agreement that we're going to freeze. And I will say the vote emojis for this week that were picked. Stay still was a dinosaur, and run was a roller skate, which was adorable.
Very fun.
Very cute. And
I love when the vote emojis are so abstract.
Yeah, we try to make them as abstract as possible.
Yeah. Oh, Mizra in the chat says that Joe picked the roller skate emoji. I love that.
Oh, that's great. I love that. That's fantastic. I loved it. I especially would love it if Arthur would get roller skates. I'd take roller skates at this point. It'd be fine with me.
So how were you voting, Queen?
I was just about to say the polls, just as a landmark here, the polls are now able to be, I think it's a new Patreon feature, the polls are not able to be actually closed, so people cannot vote after they are closed, which is really helpful for those of us who are watching the poll numbers closely to get those screenshots, because in the past, it has been where you can go back and vote anytime, which kind of can skew the number of votes or the results for like historic archiving purposes, which is why it's been so important in the past to get them right when the poll closes, and why it has been kind of surprising when the poll closes early or Harlan says the chapter's already written, because like for as long as we have had this going on, as far as I know, we've been trying to make sure that we get these screenshots, but now it's very convenient. The poll closes when it closes, and it's nice and neat and tidy, and we appreciate that. But thank you to Ajax for grabbing that, and then thank you to Rotten Little Flea for doing weekly doodles for our votes, which is new and really fun.
They're so fun.
As far as what I'm voting, I voted to stay still.
Yeah, you and I were in complete agreement immediately after we listened to the episode. As soon as the episode ended, we were both like, oh, fuck that. We are freezing.
Well, yeah, I mean, look, I won't go into it because we're going to talk about it after the submissions, but like, we've already been seen. To me, it's like, yeah, all I'm going to say is we've already been seen, and this thing is giant. I don't feel like running is practical.
For me, it's the detritus. I don't want Arthur to go running through barbed wire.
That's fair.
We've already seen that Harlan will not hesitate to to attack the most vulnerable bits that are exposed right now. Don't get that man away from the barbed wire.
Yeah, I was having a really hard time visualizing a lot in this chapter because I think my brain is just so excited about Kellen and like all this meaty emotional stuff. So I was having a really hard time remembering like what's around us and how big is this place and
obstacles,
trying to envision
dangerous
these
shit,
giant creatures. But yeah, every step is probably awful. But shall we listen to a voice message?
Let's do.
Hello, autumn once again, or should I say, Brotum. Harlan actually released 256 early upon decision from the newly appointed Bro Council, the Brownsel. But all of what I'm about to say was written prior to that fact, so off we go. Call me what you want, a deer in the headlights, but I'm Team Freeze. The heads of these creatures are lanterns, not cameras, suggesting they can't see very well. They need light in the darkness so that they can pick us out. They're more likely to see us if we move and disrupt the light they cast, whereas if we stay still, then we could blend in with the faces beneath us. These creatures don't seem to activate when they see the faces trapped below them, so it's not so much facial recognition as it is movement detection, so running would be a death sentence for us. These guys also seem fairly passive from the outside. Not to say they won't murder us if they catch us, but they don't seem to be actively searching for anything, just wandering. But the moment we move, we give them something to follow, something to chase. We aren't going to be able to outrun these things as well, especially surrounded by barbed wire and sharp detritus, and not to mention our feet are fucked from that climb down the tower. If we were to outrun them at peak health, then we sure as shit aren't going to be able to now. Anyways, those are my thoughts of this vote. Have a good autopsy.
Thank you so much for your submission, bro.
Yeah, we had to make sure to explain the bro thing well in advance of Autumn's submission.
Can you imagine how confusing that would have been?
Yeah, but I totally agree with what Autumn brings up about freezing might mean that we stay blended in somehow. I noticed that people in Slow Poll were talking about how these creatures are so large that seeing Arthur still, they might not distinguish whether he's in the ground or not. It's just if he's still, then he quote unquote like belongs there. But if he moves, it's clear. It clearly sets them off that he doesn't belong there.
Oh my god, you know what this is making me think of?
What?
This is making me think of the faces like little sprouting plants. Like little buds. I don't know why, but I just realized that's what it's. I keep thinking of wow, this is gonna sound stupid.
Are you thinking about the beginning of my sci-fi novel?
No, well, no.
Of Champion.
I was thinking about Plants vs Zombies, actually.
Wow. Okay.
Which
never mind.
Has gone so far back. But what I was thinking about was like, yeah, if you turn your face straight up, or if you like, if someone's looking directly down on Arthur and John like this, they are gonna look pretty indistinguishable from just the regular faces poking out of the ground.
I made a note of something. Hydra's had just a short and sweet message in Slow Poll. Hydra said, something that moves is something that needs to be buried. Something that's still, however... And Nikki also said something along those lines. One of the pros of freezing is that Arthur may blend in with the faces.
Yeah, and I also think that we've seen a few times that logic, not in Malevolent, but especially in like game mechanics and things like that, of if you just stay real fucking still, sometimes they can't see and they can only sense movement, right. You know, mechanics like that, which aren't necessarily like hiding. By the way, Harlan hates hiding mechanics in video games, but I don't think that extends to Malevolent. So we'll see. We'll see what happens.
Well, on my re-listen earlier today, this is one of the first things I wrote down under "Stay Still" was, oh no, one fear, BJ or John or whoever during the end flavor text about the vote says passive or violent as part of the choices, and that oh man, I always get real nervous when we pick the passive choice.
Yeah. I mean, it's funny. We also have things like back in season 5, Harlan and Joe were talking about inspiration for season 5, and we watched The Last Unicorn, and one of the famous quotes from Last Unicorn is, well, it's not a quote because I can't remember the exact quote, but basically, never run from anything immortal. Yes. It makes them like chase you.
Yes.
And we don't have... I mean, that was something that I lean on for pretty much everything because I've always really liked concrete rules in my fantasy. But more importantly, I think that it makes sense. Why would you draw more attention to yourself when you've already been spotted? And again, these things are huge. One step and any progress we make is cleared. And if anything that they find to hide behind doesn't have like a top to conceal them from the top, the things are just going to be able to see right over whatever we're hiding. So it wouldn't matter anyway.
Right.
My biggest thing is like I'm worried John is not describing something that would have been vital for us to know about.
Yeah, that's always there is always that. I think it was Nikki who wrote in Slow Poll that one of the pros for running was that we may be able to hide among the debris, but also on the same token, one of the cons of running is that the debris may hurt Arthur. So,
What if the debris is alive? What if
no.
we're
Well, I
living in
mean,
a scrapyard that comes to life?
yeah, yeah. I mean, the John did describe there being like broken down machines. What if they come to life?
I'm so into it.
Zombie machines.
God. Do you want to read our email submission?
I would love to. So we did ask everyone, the very, very small number of people who were voting for Run or had arguments for Run. We begged them to submit because we wanted to hear their, earnest argument. And we did get an email from Nukuome. Pronouns are he, it. And it says, I don't have time to make a full voice message, but as someone who immediately votes and chose Run, I present my reasoning. Getting away from Big Scary Monster is probably better than letting Big Scary Monster come to you. This was a completely gut instinct vote, so that's the only reason I have. Have a great autopsy, y'all.
Totally valid. And also, like, to frame it, there's only 54 people total who voted for Run, and Autopsy at any given time has between 12 and 30 people who listen live.
Right.
So there's really not a huge audience to ask if the vote is this one-sided. We don't have that big of a reach, and unfortunately the live stuff is behind kind of a paywall because you have to be a patron to listen.
Right.
So our scope to cover both sides for this vote is pretty limited, but that doesn't mean there weren't good reasons.
Yes, and I did make a specific note, and we should have asked KM directly, but KM is, of course, Team Run because their season 6 theme is Go the Furthest Distance.
Which Vol is very proud of because Vol came up with that goal.
Well, I love the commitment to the bit. It's very good.
KM's commitment to a bit is fucking iconic.
Legendary.
And by the way, you listening to this probably have seen something KM has done and been part of because KM has a little finger in every single zine out there.
KM is like single-handedly doing all of the organization of all of the zines.
Like for the tarot deck and multiple other zines. They're going to do a playing card zine pretty soon.
Yeah.
They have other fandoms that they do zines for. KM does so many big fandom zines and projects. So I guarantee you, if you don't know KM, yes, you do.
Yes,
yes, you do, because you've benefited from something KM has organized.
And I misspoke. KM does not single-handedly do this. KM is an awesome resource for so many zines, and there's so many other amazing people who mod and lead and inspire those zines. So shout out to all the people who organize.
KM would argue it's just KM. No, yeah, for sure. KM always has a team and a wonderful team and a wonderful partner named Mar who does a lot with the zine stuff too. So huge shout out to KM and all of their hard work, but also to everybody who keeps up these fandom projects because they do take a lot of time and labor and it's all for free pretty much.
Yeah.
Nobody gets paid to do fan projects, as you probably already know. So all this stuff and all the spreadsheets and organization, it's a lot and it's done in free time with lots and lots of love.
Yes.
So.
And if you have the tarot deck in your hands in the future, if you look in the tarot deck guidebook, you'll see some of my writing. And if you have the fairy tale zine in your hands in the future, you will also see some of my writing.
Yes, I also wrote for the tarot deck. And I was blessed to beta read all of the tarot deck snippets because they needed an intake process. And I shockingly did not have... I had almost no work to do. It was just pretty much reading fan fiction all day. It was pretty great. Nobody really needed corrections. Everything was perfect. So I'm very proud of everybody who worked on that.
Yeah. We're really looking forward. We're finally nearing the finish line. Yes. Soon the tarot decks will be real.
Yes. So, I feel like, I don't know how, but we actually spent an hour talking about this.
Oh, wow. It is only 9. I thought it was a little after 9.
So I think that Vol and I have agreed to listen to the chapter that just dropped live with you
Yes.
guys, and maybe leave in some of our reactions for kind of a teaser on this episode of Autopsy to flow into the next one. So we just listened to chapter 265, and it was great.
Oh my god. Of all of the characters that I anticipated, and of course, I knew this would happen. This always happens. Harlan's like, oh yeah, you're never gonna see that character again. Oh yeah, that character is just being mentioned in part of a backstory to flesh out a character. No, don't fixate on that character. You're never gonna see them. And then what does he do? He goes straight for the fucking jugular.
He really does. What a jerk. I loved it, and it was great. I especially loved how many times light was relevant in a story about Frederick, and I loved thank you, Joy. I loved the War Will Never Leave Me. That was very good.
Oh
and
god, that and I Was Only Following Orders. Woof.
I can only imagine how Jo reacted to this chapter. I bet she cried too.
Yeah.
Oh my god.
So this is actually one of my, not exactly a trigger, but like, I don't consume war media. I don't care for it. It doesn't do anything for me, especially the way it's usually portrayed. Either way it's portrayed, either as a glorious, masculine pursuit and like all of the blood and glory is worth it, or as a depressing, realistic take of the like horrors of war, can't do it. But this is so fascinating.
It's the preferred war media.
Yeah.
I loved it. I loved all of the imagery we were given, but my favorite part, and I'm sure I'll be talking about this next autopsy, was that Arthur got boots.
I know. In a little jumpsuit. He's in a little jumpsuit.
He's in a jumpsuit. He's a protected man now. I was so glad.
Yes.
Oh my gosh.
Oh my god. The almost John lore. I think that John's going to say that he had a different Arthur in the Dark World with him. That's what I thought he was going to say. That's what I thought he was going to say.
I wonder if John has met some people.
Right.
Because
John was saying like there is a bigger reason than the crimes that we have committed that I kept the secret from you. And I don't know if you're ready to hear it. And so I was thinking like, oh, maybe there was another Arthur that did some like really fucked up stuff, but like Arthur doesn't. But like Arthur doesn't have those memories. I don't know. That's my little pet theory.
I think that's very cool. I at first thought that Frederick was somebody that only John knew.
Oh,
I thought maybe it was a named character from John's Dark World time that we were about to be found out about. But I do think it makes a lot more sense that it's not, because they were just talking about it, and I think that would be a little bit too coincidental.
Yeah.
So I'm glad I wasn't right.
I honestly, like, the first second that John mentioned that it was a soldier, I was like, oh my god. OG Noel? Is that real? Is this the real Noel Finley?
That also popped into my head about like, what if it's OG Noel? But see now that we've met Frederick, I cannot rule anybody out.
Yeah.
I was so confident coming into the season that I knew the odds of meeting certain characters, and now all of that has totally changed.
Yeah.
I'm so excited.
And you know that Harlan is, I mean, I feel like he is totally, this is setting the scene for the fact that we can't always expect to be able to guess who familiar faces or names or characters are going to be, but also that familiar names and characters that have appeared in the show and are dead are also very much on the table. Both of those things have been proven narratively in this chapter. Harlan, you brilliant bastard.
You could maybe say that not all things
Is
dead
that
are gone.
and not all things
Oh
dead
my
are
God. I'm so excited. We have so much to talk about next time on Autopsy.
Yes.
Let's save
Yes.
some.
Let's do.
Good night, everybody.
Thank you, everybody, for sticking around to listen to the episode with us. Good
Good
night.
night. Thank you, of course, to Harlan Guthrie, the sole creator of Malevolent. Without his labor of love for a story he wants to tell, we wouldn't be here. To join the live recording, submit your own message, get in touch with me, and more, visit linktree/Malevolent Autopsy. The official Invictus Discord server is open to the public and includes a channel just for Malevolent Autopsy fans. We also have our own private, patrons-only channel. Finally, thank you to Mizra, Nikki, Vol Control, and everyone who has helped create and maintain Malevolent Autopsy. These friends are also volunteers who donate time and energy to help put together this love letter to Malevolent. The horrors persist.
But so do we.